Hey guys, it's your girl Danny Cole, mental health and vibes. Hey! No, but today I want to talk about things I wish we would talk about relationships, because I feel like we need to stop overprotecting girls and asking boys how many girlfriends they have. We need to start equipping girls with the tools to know how to navigate relationships and choose the right people, and also teach boys more about valuing themselves and respecting themselves, because that's not only a thing for girls, that's a thing for boys as well. But it seems like that conversation is not really had, or even when it comes to what to look for in a relationship, because all I just remember was that just find a good man, God-fearing, someone that will treat you right. But what does that look like? They don't really talk. They say that don't let someone play you, but what does that look like? What does manipulation in a relationship look like? Those things were not broken down, and people think that it's common sense, but it's not, especially when you've never really been brought up being taught these things. Because I realized, like, personal experience or talking to a lot of other girls, there's a lot of people stuck in toxic relationships, and it's like, oh, but I think he loves me. And I heard somebody say something that hit deep. She was like, this was a woman that was in an abusive relationship, and she said that you need to remember it wasn't all bad. But the thing is, what we don't realize is, because from our primary relationship with our parents, they hurt us, but they love us. And sometimes they show their love to us through how they hurt us. Now, when I'm in a relationship, he's hurting me because he loves me, or he's trying his best, but he's still hurting me. So he must love me still, because sometimes he'll treat me nicely. But they're not realizing that 40% he's treating you nice, 60% is not nice, and there's a whole breakdown. And I feel like when it comes to the topic of relationships, before we even talk about partnering up with someone, we are never taught how to truly understand ourselves, to even understand how we want to be loved, how to teach someone to love us, because we teach people to love us by what we accept and what we communicate. And that doesn't happen most of the time. And there's a thing where I feel like if we were more equipped with those tools, I'm not saying that you will never get hurt, but at least you'll be more intentional about the type of people that you're dating, you're entertaining, or that you are spending your time with. One thing that really just pisses me off when I hear, not that it pisses me off, but it's like, I get it, but I don't, because sometimes we forget how much control we actually have over our lives, because we choose who we entertain and who we give energy to. When you hear people saying that there's no good women out there, there's no good men out there, but then I'm seeing people get married. I'm seeing people in healthy relationships. So there are people out there, but who are you entertaining? Because it's easy to say that there's not a lot of good people out there, and everyone, you can't trust anybody if you keep on entertaining the same type of people, because they're going to keep on hurting you. Are you setting boundaries with people? Do you actually communicate your boundaries, and is there a consequence for your boundaries being crossed? And when we start to do those little things, there's going to be a bigger difference, because now you're setting the standard for how people show up within your life. But we've never really been taught that. And even growing up, that thing of parents saying that it's not always friends, don't focus on friendships, just focus on your books and your studies. I feel like that should be switched around. I feel like we should be taught how to make the right type of friends that are going to impact our lives positively. So the right type of friends that are going to motivate us to learn together. The right type of friends that are in alignment with doing better and enriching ourselves. So that even if you are spending time with your friends, it is something that is beneficial as well, and it is adding value to you instead of taking away from you. Because I don't think we realize all this just focus on education, business. We are interpersonal beings. Like, we're always communicating with people, we're always interacting with people, so we need those social skills. But the thing is, we need to be able to exhibit those social skills in a healthy way. How can we do that if we're never really allowed to do it? If we're always being punished if we want to go out and have fun, or if it's always a bit of a long thing if you just want to spend time with your friends. So I feel like that thing should be just shifted a bit. I'm not saying that always be spending time with your friends and don't focus on your education. There is time for focus, but you can have a bit of a balance. Obviously, life is not always balanced, but you can have a bit of a balance with when you spend time with your friends, looking at your education and then family time or whatever. But you can also combine it, like na collabo. You can have fun with your friends and you can also learn with them as well. And I feel like that is so important and underrated. Having the right type of people that even when you're spending time together, it is still productive. We're not really taught that. And when it comes to relationships, growing up, all I've seen is struggle love. I'm so sorry. Not all I've seen healthy couples. Like my parents, non-biological, they were healthy. But all I've seen is struggle love. Because you're always hearing men complain about, the woman is always right. You just need to agree with her so that you can have peace. As a woman, I need to say that the woman is not always right. And when that happens, resentment starts to build up. If a man is always putting his needs to the side just to cater to the woman and how she's feeling, we need to learn how to communicate healthier instead of one person just saying, you know what, you're right, let's leave it and go on. Because now resentment starts to fester within you because you're not feeling heard or seen. And now it's like, I'm just going to agree to keep the peace. But you're not actually keeping peace because now you're going to build that resentment within yourself and then act out in a different way to get back at the person. Sometimes you might not even know because it's subconscious because of that resentment starting to build up of not actually being heard or understood within the relationship as well. And when it comes to this thing of we need to hold on to relationships no matter what, especially when you're married. No, we need to be more intentional about the early stages when we see the little signs of things that are not in alignment with our core values and what we want and how we want to be loved. But before you can even get there or understand that, you need to understand yourself, what your core values are, how you like to be loved, and how you also show up as well. And you need to know that vice versa to see if that person can, one, compliment you. The person doesn't need to be the same as you or too similar, but at least the person needs to be able to compliment you within your life, can make up for your weaknesses, you can make up for their weaknesses, you can both improve each other. Also a thing where the person is not blatantly doing things that are not in alignment with your values and things that you live your life by. Because we like to look over things and say, oh, you know what, it's not that deep. Nobody's perfect. I'm not a perfect person as well. And when we start to use those sort of excuses, it's a recipe for disaster. Wahala don't come. Because now you're going to be excusing that person's behavior because you know that you're not willing to work on the things that you need to work on within yourself to improve yourself. So now it's okay if they're falling short, because I fall short as well. And that's why before we try to raise the standard for other people, we need to raise the standard for ourselves so that they also, when we are asking for certain things, it's not like, oh, it's something crazy because I can do it. If I can do it, why can't you do it? And if you can't do it, there's someone else that can do it. No wahala asked. Another thing I wish we were taught about relationships was actual conflict resolution and how to have confrontation within a relationship. Because, hey, I want to be married. I watch married couples that I look up to, that I actually love the way they engage as well. And one thing that I have learned is actually like not planning, but being intentional about your relationship. So having those hard conversations early before the conflict comes. How are we going to deal with it without invalidating each other? Are we going to take a break if we think everything is heated until we calm down, then come back together? Is there a code word if we think we're going off and we need to, have some space? But then also, is there something in place to make sure we're both being able to communicate, and when we communicate, we're both being heard? We both feel like we're being seen as well before we come to a conclusion. When it comes to also having those conversations about triggers, what are your triggers? How do they lead to you acting out? And what is the impact that it has on you? So that I can know when maneuvering with things, what do you struggle with? So that we can work on that together, or at least it's not something that catches me off guard. And when these things are had, it makes it easier, because now you're not expecting someone to show up in a way that was never really communicated, because a lot of hyper vigilant people expect that you should know this, it should be common sense, but I never really communicated it. And sometimes that can come from childhood, where you communicate your needs, you ask for things, but that need is never really met. And you ask for help, but that help is never really given. So it's like, I'ma just do it myself. And it looks like when someone is not just clicking to see, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this because something's happened. Oh, and why am I talking like this? I'm not okay. Okay. So when it gets to a stage of the relationship where you're expecting something from someone because that's how you've grown up with doing things, but that might not be how they had grown up, you wouldn't bring it up. You would watch to see what they're gonna do, and then if they don't change it, you start to build resentment. But you've not even brought it up the first time for them to say, okay, now I understand, let me start to make the change. Or you start to become passive aggressive without actually communicating it to them. And that's the thing, someone can't know what is expected if it's not communicated. And common sense is not common, because common sense to you is based off your experience, and to someone else is based off the experience that they've had. So if it's not the same experience that's in alignment, of course they're not gonna be doing the things that are normal to you, because they are different people. So communicating these type of things, and also when it comes to hypervigilance and people either being using weaponized incompetence, it's a thing where after you bring it up a first time, do they make an effort, and is it consistent? And do they try to make that change? Because sometimes you can bring things up to people, they're like, yeah, I get it, I totally understand, I'm gonna change. Next time they do it again, and you brought it up multiple times. Yes, that person does not value, they don't value the relationship enough to make that change. And the thing is, you're both going to be making changes for each other with how you, it might either be compromising, or it might be with, it might be with compromising, or it might be, okay, this is a habit that I need to stop because it's bringing about friction. So that's what we're gonna do. Another thing that I wanted to cover was this struggle love, tough love. Love does not need to be tough. And love is not enough. Love is not enough in the sense where just because you say you love me, and you do things for me, but it's not in the way that I receive love, that's not enough. And I feel like this also comes from childhood, where our parents are like, I love you so much, I'm doing everything for you, I would die for you, I would give my life for you. But I literally just wanted you to listen to me and just validate my feelings. I literally just want you to do that, love me that way. But then they'll love you any other way apart from how you want to be loved. Yeah, no, it's not worth it. Because that starts to play on your self-value. That starts to play on your insecurities as well. And you don't really feel like you're being seen. It's that thing when people have problems with, I've literally told you what I like. I've given you hints for what present I want. But you go and get me tickets to a football game, Manchester United. I don't watch football. I don't like it. Why are you getting me tickets to a football game when I've told you that I want to spend time with you at a resort? Or even, I just want you to bring me flowers and chocolate and let's do a little cinema day at home. Why? And that's the thing. When someone loves you, they love you in the way that you like to be loved, not in the way that they think you want to be loved as well. And when it comes to manipulative relationships, I'll be going into this a bit deeper the next couple of weeks. There are a lot of things that we're not taught about, or a lot of things that we are taught in the home that prepares us for manipulative and abusive relationships. Because a lot of us are raised up to be abused or to be abusers, but we don't talk about that enough, because you are supposed to just be quiet. You're supposed to just respect authority and not ask questions. You're supposed to just be docile most of the times within these parent-child relationships. But that type of relationship is what prepares you for the romantic relationship, but before that, for your platonic relationships as well. And if we start actually teaching young people how to have great platonic relationships and set boundaries and set standards, it helps to make a smoother transition to romantic relationships. So now, instead of being scared about, what is my daughter doing out here? Or I don't want my daughter to date, or I don't want my son to be in a relationship. Now you're actually equipping them with the tools and you're trusting them to make the right decisions. We all make mistakes, but because now they're equipped with the tools of understanding themselves, they have more discernment. They can shift through the type of people that they're going to entertain, because a lot of the time is who we are entertaining in the first place. And if that person is in alignment with us, and if we're staying from a place of lack and from a place of lack, because when we have that thinking that, there's no good men out here, there's no good women out here, it's from a place of lack. So now you're thinking, you know what, this person is good enough, I might as well settle because I'm not going to get better, which is even bare minimum. So now you're just accepting the bare minimum because you think that everyone out there is trash. But then also, have you looked to yourself to see if you're the person you need to be for the person you want to be with? So guys, this is the first video. I'm gonna do a part 2. I feel like this type of conversations is a bit easier with someone else, but I'm getting there. My first YouTube video, there's not kind of my first, but first of the series is definitely going to get better. I'm going to see more improvement as I keep on recording it. So I'm gonna catch you later. The next episode, I'm going to be talking about things that we need to look at within ourselves, questions to ask before getting into a relationship with someone, and not just romantic, even our friendships, to see if we're in alignment with the person. And remember, alignment does not mean that you're the same. It's just that there's a shared consensus or shared value that you guys have. So peace out. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe.